As a startup founder, I have hit burnout before. You know what burnout is, right? It's when you feel mentally, physically, and just emotionally exhausted. It's when you're going into work, you're working on your startup, and this thing that you were so passionate about, so lit up by, all of a sudden you just don't feel that spark anymore. It's those moments you start to wonder, is this even worth it? What am I working hard for? Am I gonna actually hit that goal? Is that dream going to turn into reality? I want you to stop those narratives right now and realize that those narratives, those things that are going through your head are not going to serve you. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 principles you absolutely need to know on how to run at high performance, how to actually manage for burnout, and if you're in burnout, how to actually get out of it. And by the end of this episode, it is my hope that no matter where you are, you may be completely thriving or you may be at the worst situation ever, the whole gamut. It is my hope that you will learn this ethos of becoming unstoppable as a founder, so you always find a way forward and build that company of your dreams. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, and you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're already part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. There was one point in my startup journey where we had just raised a Series B. It was a $15 million Series B led by Andreessen Horowitz. At the same time, we had one board member that was retiring and leaving our board. At the same time, SaaS multiples had dropped, which meant our subsequent round was gonna look very different. We really had to live up to a high valuation. At the same time, competition was fiercer than ever in the category that I was in. At the same time, I was going through a divorce. In all those situations that were all happening at once, I truly hit burnout. I truly hit rock bottom. But in that moment, I knew that I had 2 options. Either I give up or I find a way forward, even with burnout. And that's when I learned the hard way that there are ways to actually get out of burnout. There are ways to manage for burnout, and there are ways to run at high performance in the grueling world of growing software companies and startups. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that I learned the hard way. And it's my sincere hope that you're able to implement these principles so that you are actually able to build that company of your dreams. So if you're excited to dig into principle number 1, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. Principle number 1 is it's important to define burnout. I mentioned this earlier in the episode, but burnout is essentially when you feel mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. So this is one of those things where burnout has a way of creeping up on you. You may not realize it, but little by little, week after week, all of a sudden you may hit a dead zone and realize, you know what? I don't know how to describe it, but I just don't have that spark anymore. If that's you, if you're feeling those kind of things, the best way I learned to identify it was using this definition, because it goes across these 3 very wide areas of your life: mental, physical, and emotional. Mental, meaning you used to be able to solve a problem just like that, but all of a sudden it just takes you longer to think. You almost can't process data as fast. Physical, your body just might hurt. Maybe you're not working out anymore. Maybe you're not doing yoga or meditating or those things that you used to do. And all of a sudden, your body is just not performing at the level that it used to when you used to move around. And then emotional, which is different than mental. Emotional is when you just feel sad or you don't feel as excited. It's the absence of the positive feeling and more of the presence of these negative feelings that are dominating your mindset. All 3 of these together at once is that compounding factor of burnout, which is why it's one of the leading killers of startup founders one way or another, because it truly permeates every aspect of your being. The biggest thing you need to know about this whole burnout thing is just to recognize it. That's the hardest thing. A lot of times it creeps up on you, so you just think that's how life is. But if you were to pause right now and think back 5 years, 10 years, even 12 months, you'll quickly realize that this is not your default state. And if you start to acknowledge it very quickly, much like when you identify an enemy, it's a lot easier to actually go after and defeat. You're starting to see some of the power in just identifying what burnout is and how to recognize it. Put it in the comments below. If you're in burnout right now, put it in the comments below. If you've been in burnout before, put it in the comments below. I wanna make sure, this is a little bit more of an in-depth video. I'm going deeper on this. I wanna make sure that everyone really engages and shares with each other. The biggest thing I want you to understand understand as a software founder, as a SaaS founder, as a startup founder, is that you're not alone. It's not just you. You're not weird. This is not some weird thing. It does not make you weaker. This is purely a function of being pro athletes. The way that we ride companies, the way that we approach things as hard as we go, it's just part of what we come across when we're actually building companies. So you're not alone. That's principle number one, just to recognize it and acknowledge it. The sooner you acknowledge it, much like any other problem, you could be having a problem in the business, say you don't have enough pipeline, or your go-to-market's not working, or your product's not quite right. Identifying the problem is half the battle. And so often, we're focused so much on the company itself, we forget that at the end of the day, how well we run ourselves as leaders directly reflects the success or failure of the company. So it's super important to identify if you're in burnout or not. Once you've done that, the next thing that you want to understand is, okay, what do I do about it? Now, I'm going to cover exactly what I went through and what I learned to do when I was in burnout. And then on the third principle, I'll talk about how you can run at high performance while avoiding burnout. The second principle that you need to know is the key word for you to understand is stamina. Everyone thinks that the startup game, the founder game, the CEO game is all about hustle. The reality is it's actually not about hustle at all. The people, the most successful founders, the most successful entrepreneurs actually have stamina versus hustle. In fact, the people that go really fast and hustle, and talk about how they're just killing it all the time, if you follow their journey long enough, if you follow their arc long enough, all of a sudden they kind of disappear. It's the people that have staying power. It's the people that know how to sustain their energy. It's the people that can play the short game while keeping an eye on the long game. Those are the founders that build incredible companies, get exits, and build incredible businesses. So the thing that you really want to understand is it's not about hustle, and it's really about stamina. Let's just suppose you're in burnout right now. Towards the end of this video, I'll talk about what to do so you can manage for burnout and never get into it. But let's just say you are in burnout. When I was in burnout, I had two choices. And this is true for every founder that I coach. There are founders that have approached me that I coach and it's like, hey, I think I'm getting close to burnout. It typically happens once they've reached the next stage of growth and they're like, okay, now I got to go to the next stage. And in that path, they actually get hit with, oh my God, I've been doing this for so long. I think I'm burning out. I need to do something about it. When I was facing that scenario that I was telling you about in the beginning of this video, where all those things were going wrong all at once, essentially I had two options, or at least I thought I had two options. My entire being, my entire body just wanted to give up. I just wanted to go to sleep. But at the end of the day, I couldn't. I had responsibilities as a CEO, as a founder, to my team, to my investors, to my customers. Giving up was not an option. But it felt like it was such a binary thing. Do I just keep hustling or do I just give up? And that's kind of the default that you would think what it was, that those were my options. But thankfully, I got enough coaching and I got enough support to realize that it wasn't about hustle. It wasn't about ignoring the reality of what I was dealing with. It was about being thoughtful about what I needed to do next. And the biggest thing that I understood was your next best move is what matters the most. The next move is the most important thing, and you just want to pick the right thing. While I was going in that mode, I realized if I just keep doing what I was doing, it wasn't going to get me results. In fact, I wasn't actually doing a great job as a founder at that point while I was burnt out. But the company, my investors, my customers, they all needed the best version of me to step up and figure out how we can navigate the path forward. So instead of just give up versus keep hustling, I actually thought about, well, how do I get stamina and how do I get enough energy and how do I solve these problems and how do I take the company to where it needs to be? And essentially I came up with two real options. The first real option that I came up with was to just pause. Now, for you, pausing doesn't mean you go on a month-long vacation, even though that's what you want, but that's just not feasible. So what you may realize is, okay, maybe you can afford a half day. Maybe you can afford 3 days. Maybe you can afford a long weekend. Maybe you can afford even a week. So the thing that I coach founders to do is to manufacture a self-manufactured emergency. A self-manufactured emergency is kind of like an emergency, but you're declaring the emergency. So think about it for a second. Let's just say that all these crazy things are happening, you're in burnout, but all of a sudden some emergency happens in your personal life. Magically, you would tend to that emergency and you would stop everything else. You would have permission to actually tend to that emergency. But under the status quo, you would not do that. You would not actually stop everything and go tend to yourself. in reality, burnout is an invisible wound. Think of yourself as bleeding with a bullet hole, and you need to tend to that wound. So the first thing you can consider is just pausing for 24 hours or 48 hours or a 3-day weekend. The biggest thing to do that I found helpful is to interrupt the pattern that you have every single day. The biggest thing that happens with burnout is you wake up in the morning and you start dreading the entire day. You play out and compute the entire day. You know exactly how it's gonna go, and you don't even know how you're gonna solve all the problems you're facing. That's not how you wanna operate. So what you wanna do is interrupt that pattern. So if you can find a way to take 3 days off, or on a random Wednesday, go catch a matinee movie or something like that, that's gonna actually help you break through your pattern and start to recharge your energy. That's really what your body's looking for. And so the best thing to do is find a half day, 3 days, a week, whatever you can afford, even with the emergencies that are going on, even with the fires that are going on, but to declare a self-proclaimed emergency and say, look, I need a personal health day. I'm gonna go shut everything down. I'm gonna go figure some stuff out. I'm gonna go to the ocean. I'm gonna go look into the trees. I'm gonna go into nature, whatever it takes. I'm gonna go watch a movie, whatever it takes, whatever makes you feel good. Just do that for a half day or 3 days and then come back with a vengeance. So option 1 that I always found is to just pause. Option 2 that I found is if you are truly in a crazy scenario where you're like, TK, and I'm in an emergency with an emergency, so I can't go away for a half day. I can't go away for 3 days. I can't go away for a week. And I totally get it. Sometimes you're just in those kind of scenarios. The way I interrupt the pattern for those kind of cases is to actually declare a sprint. So sprints are the idea where you do something in a concentrated way for a certain amount of time. So the idea of a sprint in this kind of scenario is you say, look, I can't step away right now. I can't even take a half day. We are fighting for our lives. The company needs to get funding, or we really need to solve this incredible customer issue. So what you wanna do is define a specific amount of time, like 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, up to 45 days. I've done 45-day sprints when I'm really trying to get something going, but I'm still burnt out. And what you wanna do is promise to yourself and say, look, I'm going to do a sprint for 45 days, or I'm gonna do a sprint for 2 weeks, whatever the time is needed, but then I'm going to actually rest. And so what you wanna do is declare that amount of time, declare a specific goal of what you wanna accomplish in that time, and book the trip, the vacation day, the vacation, whatever you wanna do at the end of that. You wanna commit to yourself that you're gonna do that by booking it and spending the money on it or spending the time on it, whatever you can afford. And by the way, it doesn't need to be a lot of money. You can just go to the beach. It's pretty straightforward. Go to nature. Those are usually free. And you can just book that. And that way it shifts your mind into realizing, okay, this is not forever. I'm gonna do this sprint, and then I'm gonna get that rest that I promised myself, and then I'm gonna come back with a vengeance. And all of a sudden, what you've done is interrupt that pattern. The reality of this is when you are in burnout, when you are dealing with this exhaustion of physical, mental, emotional, at the end of the day, it's still in your mind. There are physical things that are happening, but it's still in your mind. So if you can interrupt that pattern, you can interrupt those thoughts, like I did in the beginning of this video where I was kind of leading you down this, oh my God, this sucks and this is all gonna end. And then all of a sudden I said, no, stop. Let's reframe that and let's figure out what we need to do. Immediately, you actually start to think differently about it. You're interrupting that pattern. And what you're really looking to do is interrupt your pattern. The way to interrupt that pattern could either be right now, you can pause for the next 72 hours and just go do something nice for yourself. Or you can say, okay, I'm gonna do a sprint for X amount of time, and then I'm gonna book the rest right after that. I'm gonna put it on my calendar, I'm gonna commit to it. And that way you interrupt your pattern and you said, okay, cool. And what you'll find in either of these cases is you're gonna go into beast mode. I always endearingly call it beast mode because whether you take the pause now and then you come back, you'll go into beast mode. If you go into the sprint now, knowing the rest is coming right after, you'll go into beast mode. And that awakens this, like all the things that you miss. When you're in burnout, you kind of miss being able to process data, make decisions, find creative solutions. You kind of forget the feedback loop that exists on really breaking through something. But when you make that commitment to pause and then you come back or you do that sprint and you know you're gonna get the rest after, all of a sudden all those things start firing again. And that's what you wanna do. And what you wanna realize is ultimately you wanna do that, but then you really wanna make sure you're optimizing for stamina. And this will go into principle number 3 on how you can run at high performance and not burn out and manage for burnout. But the biggest thing you want to understand is it's not about the hustle. They're just lying to you. It's about the stamina. The founders that know how to manage for stamina are the ones that win in the startup game, in the SaaS game. And so really what you're trying to do is get out of this tough spot you put yourself in, which is totally fine. You learn from it. I learned from it. But then say, okay, cool. How do I go the distance after this once I've exited this burnout? Okay, so that's principle number 2. Now let's talk about how you can actually run at high performance when you've exited burnout. Also, if you're not in burnout and now you know how to get out of it or how to detect it if it does creep up on you, but we'll talk about how you can actually run at high performance. Before we do that, let me pause here for a second. I've intentionally done this in a slightly different way. Most of my videos are about how to grow SaaS companies, how to revamp your go-to-market strategy, how to generate more leads, how to work through the sales process, how to run a product-led motion, how to fundraise. Like, that's what I do most of the time in this channel. But I also wanted to do this in-depth video because I think this is so important. I think that a lot of founders suffer silently about this. And a lot of times founders think like, oh, I must just not be cut out for this, or I must not be good enough, and that's why I'm having to deal with this. But the reality is this is just par for the course. If you're playing the startup game, if you are a founder, this does come up. We are elite athletes and we're operating at a whole different level than the average human. That's just what it takes to build successful companies. Otherwise, everyone would do it. And so just know that you're not alone in this. Everyone goes through this. What's missing is you don't have the tools to really deal with it. You don't have the language to identify it. And that's what I wanted to do this video, because I wanted to give you the language, things like, oh, I'm emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted. I have burnout. I need to deal with it. Or the tools like, hey, I need to actually pause and then come back into beast mode. Or I need to actually go do a sprint and then I'm gonna rest and I'm gonna book that before I kick off the sprint so that I hold myself accountable. These are tools you can use to run at that high performance. So if you're getting value from this, if this is resonating with you, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Share your story in the comments below. I'll promise to respond to every single one. And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. The other thing I have for you is I was trying to figure out like what gift can I give you that's most relevant. And I thought like, okay, maybe I do like a burnout guide or something like that. But then I thought that's not the right thing. Ultimately, we're here to build companies. And let's be honest, even with burnout and dealing with pausing and doing the sprint, our lives get a lot better when our companies do better. So the thing that I do have for you is my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. That's my bread and butter strategy guide on how to actually accelerate your company to that next stage of growth. You don't have to go anywhere right now, but you should grab a copy of it. I'll link to it below and I'll tell you about it at the end of this episode because that's what I talk about a lot in this channel. But let's go to principle number 3. Principle number 3 is how do you actually run at high performance? Now, there's a lot to be said about how to run as a high performance founder. In fact, before I started my go-to-market coaching program, when I was taking some time off after selling the last company, I wrote a book. I wrote an entire book on how to run at high performance as a founder. And so I thought about this deeply because I think it's so important. I've created tools around it. And so you can check out the book if you really want to dig into this. But I wanted to give you like the one principle that really matters. Because I think if you're watching, chances are you have dealt with burnout or you're flirting with burnout or you're in burnout and you really want to make sure you run at high performance. And so the one tool that I'll give you, and this is principle number 3, is gratitude. And before you tune off and you're like, oh my God, you just lost me. Like, just hear me out for a second, okay? You like listen to this long, so clearly I know something about what you're going through because I've gone through it. Gratitude is the best tool that you can have as a startup founder. One of the biggest things that I realize is us as founders, we are high achievers. So when we set a goal, by the time we approach hitting that goal, we change that goalpost. Because we keep pushing back the goalpost, we never stop to celebrate on the goal we hit. We never stop to actually express gratitude on how far we have come. And so I guarantee if right now you are burnt out or you're stressed out about your startup, you're thinking about a goal. Let's just say you want to get to product market fit, or you want to get to 1 million ARR, or you want to get to 3 million ARR, or you want to get to 10 million ARR. You want to get to 100 million ARR. I work with founders, I coach founders anywhere from pre-revenue upwards of 100 million in ARR in my program. And it's all about go-to-market and making sure they run at high performance in their business. And the thing that I've noticed is the founders that know how to express gratitude do better. And the biggest thing about that is I found that founders just beat themselves up about their goals. So if right now, for example, you are dealing with burnout and you are stressed out, and let's just say you're like, you know what, we got some revenues, but we really don't know how to get to 1 million ARR. I work with a lot of founders that are there. They tapped out of their existing network. Current channels aren't yielding anymore. They need a more scalable go-to-market machine. And they stress themselves out about it and they hit burnout and they beat themselves up about it. The reality is they forgot how far they've come. And so one of the things I always try to remind founders, and I'll remind you, is to express some gratitude. Right now, you may have some revenues and you're looking to get to 1 million ARR and build that scalable go-to-market machine. If you were to rewind a year, 2 years, 3 years, years. Heck, you can go back 5 years. Maybe you were at a job dreaming about actually having a software company with the software that people use and revenues, right? You were dreaming about being at this position. So what ends up happening is a lot of times we forget just how far we've come. And because of that, we don't express gratitude. And so the biggest thing that I can tell you, the one big tool that I can tell you on how to run at high performance is to carve out some time on a Sunday to actually express gratitude. Write down, hey, where am I? What did I accomplish last week? What are the things that worked really well? And what are my goals for next week? What am I grateful for? Just answering a set of those questions makes a huge difference in how you can actually keep running at high performance. I guarantee if you do that, if you're truly expressing gratitude at each checkpoint and you're recognizing the goals that you've unlocked and then working towards your next set of goals, you keep perspective. And when you keep perspective, you actually have the ability to go the long run. You can actually have stamina. And when you have that, you can actually make sure you never hit exhaustion across mental, physical, and emotion. That's how all these pieces come together. I'm a big fan of gratitude. In fact, I do this thing called Unstoppable Sunday every single week. Every Sunday, I ask myself, where am I and what do I do next? And I answer those. I love it so much. I try to get as many founders to do it. It's in my book as well. But the biggest thing you want to do is just express gratitude. That's the thing. That's the pro tip. If you can find some time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes every single Sunday to just express gratitude, like, okay, this is the stuff that happened that were really great. This is what I want to do next. It'll keep you grounded and it'll keep you in the game for the long run. It'll also help you detect, like, you know what? I'm feeling a little tired. I haven't taken a break in 4 weeks, so I'm going to take a long weekend. It helps you get more proactive in your life. So let's recap. This video has been going on for a while. Here are the 3 principles that I covered. Number 1, you first need to have the language to identify burnout when you're hitting it. Burnout is when you are mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. So you want to detect for that. Now, everyone thinks the way to win in the startup game and to be a successful founder is to hustle. But in reality, it's about having stamina. So if you are in burnout, you have 2 options. 1, you can go take a break. Take a half day, just interrupt that pattern and do something nice for yourself. I promise you, you'll come back in beast mode. The second thing is if you can't take that break at all, then you should do a sprint, whether it's a 7-day sprint or a 14-day sprint, but declare a time, set a goal, and say, I'm gonna go crazy to accomplish this goal or move forward in this goal. That's something that's achievable in the 14 days. And then book that rest for that long weekend or that week or whatever you can afford. And sometimes people do a combination of these. They'll take a quick break, then they'll do a sprint, and then they'll do a longer rest to really get out of it. And they repeat that all the time, and that really creates that stamina. And lastly, give some grace, have some gratitude. You from 5 years ago would be incredibly proud of how much you have accomplished, what you're doing right now, even though right now you are stressed out about the new goals you've set for yourself. You've forgotten the goals that you set for yourself a year ago, or 3 months ago, or 12 months ago, or 5 years ago, whatever the number might be. And so express gratitude. Set out some time every single Sunday to practice what I call that unstoppable Sunday, and ask yourself, where am I? What did I accomplish? How did the past week go? What am I grateful for? And what do I do next? Just those simple things, spending 15 minutes on that makes a huge difference in figuring out how you can stay grounded, how you can have that stamina, and how you can run at high performance. So now you know how to manage for burnout and how to make sure you run at high performance. What you may not know is, TK, I still have the problems to solve for growing my company. That's probably top of mind for you. So once you've gotten yourself in the right state for driving for stamina and driving at high performance, now we can get to work on how to actually grow your SaaS business. So if you want to actually figure out how to grow your SaaS business, that's the big thing I cover in this channel for all my episodes. What I want you to do is grab a completely free copy of my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. Inside of that guide, I go through the 5 key principles you absolutely need to know on how to unlock and accelerate growth for your SaaS business. It's completely free. It's our best resource out there. It's the best resource for you to figure out how to revamp your go-to-market and accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. So just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. getunstoppable.com/strategy. It's completely free. And once you fill out the info, you'll get access to it right away. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you have a fellow founder, a team member that would get value from this video, please share this with them. The reason I do this is so that the things that I learned the hard way, others don't have to. I want to serve as many SaaS founders as possible. That's why I do this channel. That's why I run my coaching program, to really make sure that I'm able to serve SaaS founders in an incredible way. I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and a bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.